Good afternoon. Welcome to Book Bites with Maggie. My name is Maggie. I'm the Youth Services Assistant here at Napanee Public Library. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about books that have a musical theme. Well, welcome back to Book Bites with Maggie. My name is Maggie, and today we're going to be talking about our musical-themed books. The books that I'm going to mention are, they're not all biographies. Some of them are, others just have like a musical synopsis to them. As we're going through these books, if you have other titles that you've read that kind of fall into this category, I'd love to interact with you. If you leave some messages here in our live taping, then I can see those. We can kind of banter back and forth about the merits of the books that we've read together. And I also have a little bit different thing for you. I have some other books that are going to fit into this genre that are coming up in publications just in the next couple of months. So some releases that I can share with you. Okay, this is the first one that I have. This is Me and Patsy, Kicking Up Dust, My Friendship with Patsy Cline. This is written by Loretta Lynn with a foreword by Dolly Parton. This was one of my favorite books in 2021 when I read this one. The friendship that these two ladies had just spanned many, many years. And I enjoyed this book because even though they were kind of competitors in the musical world, they took each other under their wings, and their friendship impacted the music that they left with this world. So in this story, Loretta Lynn is just coming into Nashville, and she's very young. She's an up-and-comer. And Patsy takes her and kind of instills in her the morals and to not be a pushover. She gives her that voice that she needs to be a female in a very masculine world. And this story, it made you really think, because obviously we know Patsy Cline died very prematurely in a plane crash. And so the context of this story, they're memories, but they're also insights into the impact that they had on each other's life. One of my favorite scenes in this was when Loretta Lynn is learning how to shave her legs. She entered the musical industry never having to do that. When she needed to start learning, who did she go to? She went to Patsy Cline, and together Loretta Lynn learned how to shave her legs. So I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But there's definite moments that I cried in this story too. This physical book we do have in our biography section here at the Napanee Public Library. However, if you want to listen to it, it is also available as a book on CD here in our collection. So that will be one that I think that you would definitely enjoy. If it's one that you want today, I'd be happy to put it on hold for you. Just leave a message in the comments and we can put it aside for you to pick up at your convenience. So this one here was a biography. Our next story is not new to Book Bites. We mentioned this when we did our full cast audiobooks episode. And this one, Daisy Jones and the Six, is one that left an impact on me, because even though you're in the world of music in this story, it is, everything about the book is music. So it follows the lead singer and her band from several decades ago. It's like the 1970s, and it's their rise to fame and then when they disbanded. And it reads and it listens just like, how would you describe it, Martha? Like a
VHS or VH1 behind the music.
There you go. That's perfect. Like a VH1 behind the music. So you have snippets and different like voices of producers and newspaper people that are interviewing them, and radio DJs and all sorts of things. But then you also get the conversation and the arguments and the fighting and the angst of the different musicians against each other and then their significant others. This one definitely left me wanting more. And when I was all done reading this book, I thought it was a biography. I truly did. So I was online trying to Google Daisy Jones and the Six, only to find out this is entirely fictitious. The entire thing is fictitious. This band never existed. This lead singer never existed. So you become so immersed in this world that you have a hard time believing that this was all somebody's imagination. And Taylor Jenkins Reid does that for me as an author. We have Daisy Jones and the Six as a book on CD. That's what I'm holding here. We also have it on Libby as an ebook and an e-audiobook. I do recommend this one for somebody who can handle either multiple points of view if you're going to read the book or to listen to it. So that is a caveat of that one. The next book that I have for you is actually one that we have in our collection again. It's a CD. This is Dolly Parton's Song Teller. This one, again, is one that I would highly recommend as an audio version. In this story, you're going to have snippets of 175 different songs that are from Dolly Parton's career, and they're not going to play the entire song. So you'll get maybe 30, 45 seconds of a song, and then between between Dolly Parton and then her interviewer, she's going to share insights and historical references. She's going to share what inspired a song and some historical context to it. This book was really, really good. I enjoyed it. I didn't feel like I was reading when I was listening to this. So it's a celebration of her life and career, being a pop culture and musical icon. So she takes readers on a journey through this book. They're very, very short snippets. So this would be an excellent one to have in your car if you're traveling, because you don't have to have an ongoing context from one section to the next. You can just pick up wherever you want. And again, you get those little snippets of music and then the inspiration behind them. Moving from some of our more adult titles, my next one is Impossible Music. This is an Australian book from the teen or the young adult section. This is Sean Williams' Out of the Silence Comes a Song. This is about a teenage musician who just remarkably has a stroke as a young adult. And when he has this stroke, it takes away his ability to hear. So the storyline follows our main character, his adjustment to life, losing his hearing as a musician and what that does to him. He loses his voice, he loses his connection with his friendships and all these different things. But he also goes through that teenage angst of revolting. So instead of finding ways to enable himself to follow through with his hobby and careers in a new realm, he really has a lot of pushback until he meets somebody who's going to give him the will and the drive to just find new normalcy in this book. So you do get some information on deaf culture, but I did mention that this is from Australia. So instead of American Sign Language, a lot of it is fluid. So in Australia, they use Auslan, which is going to be the Australian Sign Language. So some of it is going to have similar ties. So if you're familiar with deaf culture at all or American Sign Language, not all of it's going to translate directly, but you'll get the context. So you do not need to know sign language in order to enjoy this story. It totally stands on its own. This one, it makes you think. So if you are a fan of 5 Feet Apart, if you have read Zach and Mia, if you've read, what's that other one where the 2 kids have cancer?
Fault in Our Stars.
The Fault in Our Stars. Those books where those kids are not just dealing with teenagers and the struggles of being a teen and coming into their own, but they also have a medical condition that goes along with it. This is going to fall right into that realm. Impossible Music is one that we have as a physical book in our collection. We also have this available as an e-audiobook on Libby. If it's one that you want, please let us know in the comments and we'd be happy to set it aside for you. Following up, Sean Williams, this is a second book that's going to be found in our teen section. David Yoon is not new to the publishing world. He's written several books. Frankly, In Love came out last year. Does that sound right? 2020? Like 2 years ago. That would be his most recent. This one came out just shortly before that. This is Super Fake Love Song. This is going to be a trope where there's like 2 brothers who are so drastically different. And I kind of pictured when I was reading this book, what is Macaulay Culkin's character's name in Home Alone? Kevin McAllister and Buzz. Okay, so I totally like pictured them because in the story, as it's building up, they're so very different. One is a geek, one is a musician, and their rooms look completely different. David, the author, does an excellent job of kind of setting the scene. So very different rooms in this hallway. And when the new girl comes to town, she swings by their house. I don't remember the premise behind why she stops by to visit. But in our story, our main character jumps into his brother's room during this visit and takes on his brother's personality and persona. So he's himself, but he's not quite. And the snowball of a lie just continues to build and build and build to the point that he's taking music lessons, he's starting a band, he's taking on gigs just to keep up this fake persona. So it is funny. It is a very classic a lie becomes a bigger thing type of trope, but there is a little bit of a romance to it, and you just got to kind of read it to see if it all falls apart for them or not. So this misleading meet cute is going to leave you to fake it until you make it, but didn't leave love. I didn't really love this story. It was just okay for me, mostly because I kind of knew what was going to happen before it did. It was too cut and dry. It didn't leave me guessing much, but it might be a great book for you. So this is Super Fake Love Song by David Yoon. And then I do have a couple others that are going to be on my list of books to read. So this is the next one that I have listed for myself. This is Tracy Jarvis Graves, Heard It in a Love Song. And you know what? I picked this book up because of who gave it a great recommendation. So right at the top, Taylor Jenkins Reid, who did Daisy Jones and the Six, absolutely loved this book. And it's not the first book that she has read by this author and has really enjoyed. So I thought, hey, if she liked it, I might like it too. So I take other authors' recommendations as well. And I just love the cover. Doesn't that look kind of cool? So it's not part of a series or anything, so I will have to let you know on an upcoming Book Bites if this is a great pick or not, but it's definitely on my radar. Then I also, as I mentioned, have a couple of titles that are going to be coming out in the next couple of months that are going to fit into this realm. For those of you who are fans of Dolly Parton, just as I am, last fall we were excited to see that she was going to be writing a book with James Patterson. Run, Rose, Run is a fictional, reimagined, coming to the music scene version of her own story. So we'll see if it kind of holds true to the early publication information. This one is going to be coming out in March, so we've got it on pre-order. We do often order many different copies of James Patterson's books, so you'll probably see this one on our shelf. If it's one that you want, we'd be happy to add you to the growing list of holds for his titles. Also coming out soon, this is going to be one from April, Behind the Lights, The Extraordinary Adventure of a Mom and Her Family by Helen Smallbone. For those of you who are familiar with Rebecca St. James and For King and Country, this is their mother. She has 7 children. They're from Australia, and so for 3 of her 7 children to be very well known in the music industry, and the other 4 kids are just as well extraordinary and creative. This is going to be her take and a memoir on their journey from Australia. So this again is going to be coming out in April, so the next couple of months. Also, we have Mandisa's new book, Out of the Darkness, My Journey Through the Shadows to Find God's Joy. This one is going to have a foreword from Natalie Grant. This one's coming out next month on March. Oh, this month. This is March.
Yeah.
We're in March now. Okay, so coming out in just a couple of weeks. I keep thinking March is next month. So Mandisa is going to be coming out in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully we'll get this one on our shelves. Books that we order do get put into our database before they actually arrive in the library. So you can put holds on items, and then as soon as they're processed through our department and they get all their stickers and identifying marks on them, you can add a hold to them so that you're the first person to get a hold of those. So if there's any of these titles that we've mentioned, we'd be happy to add you to the list of those. Also coming up, if you are one of our big library read enjoyers, the next book coming out for April is Music is History by Questlove. This one is going to be available on any of your Libby and Overdrive formats for free, with no hold list, wait list at all for the month of April. So this will be one that's probably going to show up on the banner of the website. It's going to be all over the databases. And again, you do not have to wait in line when you have a big library read. So this one will be coming in April.
Can I share one?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you were talking about the Impossible Music one.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Michaela. And it reminded me of a book that I listened to. So I'm really into Colleen Hoover lately.
Yeah.
She writes some of my favorite books. But one of her older ones is Maybe Someday. I listened to the audiobook on Hoopla, so it's available on Hoopla.
That's another one of our database platforms.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you can listen to the audiobook on Hoopla, but it's about a guy who writes songs for his band who isn't he's in a band with his brother, but he writes the music, but he's deaf.
Ooh.
So he can
He doesn't
feel
actually-
the music.
Yeah, but he doesn't hear it.
But he doesn't hear it, and then so he writes it, but he was stuck, and just so happened to see a girl across the balcony of their apartments, who was creating lyrics to the music he was writing. So it's really cool. It's a cool book. It's not my favorite Colleen Hoover, but it's pretty cute. So that's.
Does anybody die in that one?
No.
No?
No, I don't
Okay,
think so.
I will put it on my list. Hers just... Ooh!
The only
Hers
thing
makes
that
me so angsty.
The only thing I didn't like about it was the guy has a girlfriend. So
Oh.
it's he has a girlfriend, but then he falls in love with some stranger. That's
Yeah.
not my favorite
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
not
book
a
to
good
listen
trope.
to, but
I
it's
know
still
that.
it's a classic Colleen Hoover, makes you mad, but you still love the
And it's
book,
not part of a
so.
series, so it's a standalone.
No,
You can
it
read by
is, but it's the first. And then there's a spin-off novella, I
Okay.
think, called Maybe Not. And then there might be a third one, but I didn't listen to the other ones.
Okay.
But the first one's pretty good, so.
So that one is Maybe Someday. By Colleen Hoover. Okay.
And it's available on Hoopla.
Very good. Okay, so we are going to make a list of all the books that were being mentioned today. We'll leave these in the comments, and then if any of them pique your interest, again, you'll know what formats they come in. And what else?
Hi, Lana.
We miss you. Okay, what else? Oh, next episode, we're going to have assistant director. Sarah is going to join me, and we are going to be reading books and sharing books that are the first in a series. So many of the titles that we share are standalones, but for those of you who really get invested in characters and you want to see a really long storyline come back for that episode, and it'll be a surefire win to get you some titles for series that maybe are new to your book stack. Is that what you say? New to your view. So that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining us for Book Bites. As always, let us know if there are any of the titles that you want. We'd be happy to get those for you. We can set them aside, bring them out to your car, place them on hold, or if you need help using our digital content, let us know and we'd be happy to do that. See you next time.